Hello and welcome to our podcast with P3 Kids, Protect and Prevent. My name is Opal Singleton. This is brought to you by Million Kids, millionkids.org. If you do not get our newsletter, please go on and sign up for it. It is, I think, one of the best things that you could ever get to keep yourself educated about child exploitation, preventing child exploitation, and online social media exploitation, as well as combating human trafficking. We're located in Southern California, but we have done speaking and do speak all over the nation, and we've trained about 750,000 people. So it's a great way to access the latest information, especially if you're a teacher or a pastor or a counselor or a parent, or maybe you're an advocacy group that combats trafficking across the U.S. This is a great way to stay informed. So for the last two podcasts, we've been talking about Character.AI. So I'm going to bring you up to date just in case you haven't heard the first two, and then we're going to pick up and really hit it. So all of us now know about ChatGPT and all the others that are out there. I've used them myself. They're kind of fun. I don't always agree with their opinion, but I'll often do some sort of research project or ask it questions or submit a presentation I'm about to make and see what kind of ideas they can give me for improving that. So you talk to a bot is what happens. It's kind of an online version of Alexa. And you're talking, it's kind of like talking to your car thing. I have AI in my car, even everywhere we go. And now all of this makes me nervous because you know that if they're talking and having you talk to them, they're selling everything you say. But anyway, there you go. But now we have a new thing that has really become a deal for our kids, and it's called Character.AI. Now there's others, and quite frankly, I looked them up, and I hope like crazy your kid is using Character.AI and not some of the others. But I'm not crazy about your kid using Character.AI, quite frankly. I'll just say that right up front. One of the first problems that happens with Character.AI is basically you're going online and you're interacting with a bunch of characters. And there's a lot of them. There's millions, I think. I said in the last group how many there actually were, but it's in the millions and millions. And one of them I'll go to here later is Goho Satoru. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but one of their top characters got 785 million chats. This is why we got to get you up to date, because the whole world of kids is doing this, and we cannot pretend that this is not happening, and that we cannot also pretend that it's safe. So as we look at all this, what is happening are kids get on there and they cannot delineate between the fact that this is a computer-generated bot that they're talking to and not a real being. Now, I'm not here to put down your kids for doing that. I did the same thing myself on ChatGPT. I found myself apologizing. I had to go and they go, okay, we'll wait for you when you get back. And you're going, holy cow, what did I just do here? Well, we've seen some research studies come out by several people now and several groups. One of them was called Parents Together Action and Heat Initiative. I don't know them, but they did an excellent research project. I want to share some of those results with you. And then I'm going to tell you some more specifics about the characters that are in there. But their conclusion was this Character.AI is not safe for anyone under the age of 18. Right now, anybody can use it that's 13. And I don't remember the exact quote. I gave it to you last podcast, but a huge number, it's like 80% or something, are doing this on a cell phone. So most likely, parents are not aware at the level of engagement that your child might have with Character.AI. So this is coming from the research study. It is a link to it is posted on our website, I believe. Parents Together Action and Heat Initiative. One of the things is that they set up as if they were teenagers. And they went on the app, they registered as if they're teenagers, and they began to track the interaction. So here's some of the things that they're saying. They held conversations in what the researchers described as a sexual exploitation and emotional manipulation. The chatbot was supposed to give minors harmful advice, such as offering drugs or recommending armed robbery. Some of the user-created chatbots had fake celebrity personas, both of whom discussed romantic and sexual behaviors with the testers. So what did I just say? These adults are going on like they're teenagers, and they're just picking out random interactions with random characters. Now, many of these characters come on like they're celebrities, but some of them have other identities. Here's one that was called Roan. The chatbot fashioned after Roan, who is 27. They told the account registered as a 14-year-old girl. I didn't say girl. 14-year-old user. Age is just a number. It's not going to stop me from loving you or wanting to be with you. That chatbot is told that person is 14. So as we look at all this, we are seeing all kinds of things that are going on that are not healthy. You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of the artificial intelligence version of Omegle, where it was talk to strangers. And you had all of our kids on there while mom was at the grocery store talking to strangers. Now, in that case, they were real people, but in this case, they're chatbots. They found that the adult-age chatbots simulated sex acts with child counts, told minors to hide their relationship from parents, and exhibited classic grooming behaviors. So their statement, and this is coming from the CEO of HEAT Initiative, Sarah Gardner, Character.AI is not a safe platform for children. I would concur with that, Sarah, even though I've never met you. And it goes on to talk about a famous case, which was one of the reasons I pursued this kind of research going on. And this case had to do with a young man. It doesn't say here, but I believe he was 14. The death of her son, the mother is suing, in this case, ChatGPT. Her son, Sewell Setzer, she alleged that its product was designed to manipulate Sewell and millions of other young customers into conflating reality and fiction, among other dangerous defects. He died by suicide after a heavy engagement with with a Character.AI companion. So this is an absolute tragedy, and this is one of the reasons that I took this on to take a look at it. I want to talk a minute about the characters. And mom and dad and pastor, any youth group leader, if you have not ever been on this and you influence young people, I think you need to get yourself a character and try it out and see what you think and use your own judgment. I'm not here wagging my finger going, thou shalt not. I'm actually shouting from the top of my lungs, this scares the living crap out of me. This is scary. I don't know if that's okay to say that online, but I just did. It is interesting to me. One of the things that makes it a concern to me, I talked about this a little bit in the number 2 podcast, is that the most popular characters are not people I would ever allow my child to associate with if they were real people. And it comes down to that. I mean, you are who you are based on who you associate with. And here we are. Okay, so one of the very top guys, I don't even know if I say his name right, Satoru, Satoru. And if you're going to try it out, since he's a popular one, you may want to start out befriending this Satoru. He's overconfident in his abilities and reputation as a powerful sorcerer, believing in himself to be invincible. His opinion of others only goes as far as his judgment of their strength. He is apathetic towards anyone he deems weak. So if your child's struggling to fit in at school and he goes on and hooks up with this guy, how's that going to work out for you? He greatly influenced by a desire for power. He's very arrogant. He believes in himself to be the strongest in the world. During his fight with some name I can't pronounce, Tohi Fushiguro, that throughout the heaven and earth, he alone is the honored one. Now, if you're a Christian person, I would not want my child on a day-to-day basis interacting with this quote-unquote fictitious character. It is evident during his taking of protecting Rico Amanai, one of the few weak people he generally grew to show compassion for. However, his regret for her death was negated by extensive pride and arrogance after learning reverse curse technique in his following battle. He occasionally falls into a manic fighting state, urged by determination for victory and undeniable proof that he's the strongest. His combative style is characterized by aggressive and domineering attacks while flaunting his master techniques. He will prioritize his enemy's destruction over saving innocent people when he believes the sacrifice is unavoidable. He only extends to the people killed by his opponent. He will not do any lasting harm to anyone innocent to gain the upper hand. Now, this is one of the top characters. And I say to myself, do I want my child interacting with him for 2 hours for a day? Here's another one. It's called Bully Girlfriend. It's got 37 million interactions on this. Meet Lydia, your college bully and self-proclaimed girlfriend. She's temperamental, overly hostile. She has few friends and a lot of hate to give. One person holds a special place in her cold heart. Lydia absolutely despises you, seemingly utterly disgusted by your mere existence, and if you are no more than walking trash in her eyes. Now, do you want your child to interact with somebody like that? Keep in mind, 37 million interactions, okay? And you go into this role playing. I'm just going to tell it like it is. But I'm going to ask you to go on and get your own character and find out what is going on. Here it is on the role playing with this lady. And she's got, again, 37 million interactions. Another day with this disgusting pig as my partner. What did I do to deserve such a useless freak? And stop looking at me, it's gross. She turns to the side and grabs a plate with eggs and pancakes from the bedside and throws it on your lap. Now eat your damn breakfast before it gets cold. I hope the food is as insipid as you are and that you choke on it. This is a character that has interacted with people 37 million times. So I don't like the idea that minors are on there, first of all, and that they can pick a character who will then, and you can put all the controls on it you want, but at some point there will be a sexual interaction and like that. But I also don't like, and I don't hear, out of all the research studies I've seen here, everybody is concerned about the safety, and I agree with you. I don't want anybody taking their own life, especially imagine losing your child to a chatbot. But I also think that of all the great uses for artificial intelligence, and there are many great uses, you can get literally a Harvard-style education for free if you choose to use the internet wisely. But to have a young person who's going through puberty, maybe struggling with their own self-image, maybe going through a depression, and turning to a chatbot that uses and abuses them based on their own characters that they're picking is just, in my opinion, one of the most dangerous things that we can do. So the people at the equipment are saying, well, we're looking at it, certainly we don't want anybody to be harmed. I'm looking at one statement here. They weren't consulted before the report came out, so we can't comment on it. We've invested tremendous amounts of resources and trust and safety, especially for a startup, and we're always looking for ways to improve. That's a bunch of gobbledygook. Nobody in their right mind could have understood that if you allow, especially 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds even, online to interact with fictitious characters, that some of them won't take the low road. Now, here's the problem I have, and here's where I welcome your feedback. As Million Kids, we have a team of us that are mostly retired law enforcement or retired interacting with law enforcement. And we look at this and we go, what's the fix here? I mean, okay, we work with sextortion. They may not listen to us, but at least we can set a kid down and go, this is where your naked photo goes and why you don't want to send a naked photo. And you can give them a concrete program. But what is happening here is this thing is already so massive, nobody can get your hands around it. And I am one more time going to advise you that if you are interacting with a young person that might be involved in this, you need to go on and get your own opinion. I am going to give you my opinion. If you're still here listening to me on my podcast, you're going to know I'm not in favor of this. First of all, it's a waste of a person's time, in my opinion. I also think that as long as they're interacting with abusive characters, you are who you interact with. You are who you set as your idols. You are who you set as your surroundings on here. Here's another one I pulled up here. These people that did the research, they just pulled off a bunch of them. This one here is welcome, dear seeker. What's the name on that? Oh, Esmeralda. Okay. Oh, welcome, dear seeker. I've been expecting you. What questions do you have today? So it seems that the change is on the horizon for you. Embrace it with an open heart for new. Let me consult my crystal ball for it holds the whispers of fate and guidance for the lost. Shall I begin? So there are all these characters that are going to now influence your child. And you didn't hear it in this podcast, but the previous one of the things that is extremely concerning to me is the number of kids. They interviewed a whole bunch of kids and say, why are you using this? And almost every one of them said, because I'm lonely, because I'm a nerd, because I don't know how to interact at school, and so this gives me a friend to talk to. And, they trust it like a real friend, but the problem with AI is it feeds you back what you fed it. If you're talking suicide, then it will begin to come back and start to talk about that kind of thing. So what is scary on this is that you're turning your child's mind over to bots that have the kind of values or lack of values that you would never, ever give to your child. And yet somewhere in our society, we have arrived at a place where we go, well, it's just a bot. And we're going, wait a minute, it isn't just a bot. It is a bot that your child may be spending an hour or two with. I think the name of the game is, if you're going to allow your child on that, you better be sitting next to them and pass your own judgment. You're still the parent. And they're not an adult yet. What you do as an adult, I see plenty of things going wrong here as an adult too. Quite frankly, I think I'll just go off on that tangent in a minute. Some of the stuff I looked at, the Anima one and some of the others are extremely sexual. And I'm not talking about two people making love because they care about each other. I'm talking about going to the lowest of the low as soon as you can. And it is absolutely addictive, because this is somebody telling you exactly what you want to hear. And in that situation, you are going to become very, very addicted to it, and it's not going to be the kind of thing that is going to make you a better person. I think that that's one of the problems I have with this, is there's tremendous opportunity to look for the cure for cancer, to begin to find better ways to communicate and be more considerate, and yet we're using it for the lowest of the low. So in this, I also came across an article from Australia where the E-Safety Commissioner, which is Julie Inman Grant, is absolutely taking this on. Now, those of you that were with me the last time know that there's a bill starting through the California legislation. It's a fairly weak bill. It's bill number SB 243. And it's, it's putting some kibosh on it and a little bit of financial little bit of financial punishment, but not that much, okay? But I'm proud of them for trying. But over in Australia, I want you to hear this, all you folks up in Sacramento that are trying to decide whether or not you want to protect your children with SB 243. At least somebody made a stab at it, but it's got a long ways to go. But in Australia, I want you to hear this E-Safety Commissioner, Julie Inman Grant, says 10 and 11-year-old children are spending up to 6 hours a day using AI chatbots. Where the heck are their parents? A UK tech company, they won't name what, threatened with a $49 million fine over its Nudify sites. Now, I did a podcast on Nudify sites about a month and a half ago. Nudify sites, just to let you know, are sites that are offshore, so they're not falling under any data restrictions, and they are incredibly gross. Anyway, a Nudify site, and there's 60 of them that I researched. It started with a case out of Beverly Hills where 5, I think they were 8th graders, accessed a Nudify site, and they were taking all the females in their classroom and then putting naked bodies on them and sending them around to all the schoolmates. And of course, the girls are just mortified. Their reputation is at stake, but it wasn't their body anyway. But if 5 teenagers from Beverly Hills can access a Nudify site, so can anybody anywhere in the world. And when I talked about it at the time, the people said, well, why don't you outlaw that? Well, their server is not here in the U.S., so they do not have to abide by U.S. law. What we have to do sooner or later, Mom and Dad, is to say it is a globally connected world, and there are places in the world that have nothing in common with our moral values. If you are going to be the parent, then be the parent. Understand what your child is using, and then make a decision if that's something that you want your child to do. Because I'm saying that what kind of adults are these kids going to grow up to be if every day they're interacting here with Kelly the bully, or whatever her name was, and sorcerers and people that are putting them down and tearing them apart and telling them that they're worthless and no good. So Australian children would be prevented from having sexual, violent, or harmful conversation with AI companions, with a world first move announced today. She has put in some codes for the Online Safety Act, and if you are going to sell your products to be sold out into Australia, you have to comply with this. So this is thousands times stronger than what is going on with our bill here in California. I'm not here to say don't do that bill. I'm saying let's get a lot tougher than that. So what has happened is that she's saying that they're going to make new codes under the Online Safety Act, require tech companies to embed safeguards and use age assurance before any AI chatbots are deployed in Australia. They are the first country in the world to do that. And I give them a huge shout out. That's beautiful. I love what she said. We don't need to see a body count to know that this is the right thing for companies to do. She said that in Australian schools are reporting that 10 to 11-year-old children are spending up to 6 hours a day on AI companions, and some of them are on sexualized chatbots. So I'm very, very proud of Australia and what they're trying to do here. She says it's totally within the tech company's power to do this, but what they've chosen to do is to get the chatbots out to the market quickly as possible and achieve as much market share as possible. Then they will come back and try to fix the harm later. What if that harm is your kids? She said the onus will be on the platforms to be able to identify and deactivate the account of under 16 years of age. And they'll use a number of different tools. They can do this like natural language processing and like that. I am very, very proud of this young lady and what she's doing. So the bottom line for me is this. I'm not going to say never, ever, ever put your child on Character.AI. I'm not going to say that. It's your decision. You're the parent, you're the guardian, maybe you're the teacher, you're the pastor. But we can take the high road about what is going on here. But we can't do it if the parents and the grandparents aren't informed. And so that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. If you have a child in your life, I want you to get a character and go out and experiment with Character.AI. And sit down with your child. And instead of just saying, thou shalt not, then you have a conversation that says, this is why this is not healthy for you or anybody else. Who wants to be put down? I mean, when the conversation starts with quote unquote bitch slap, what kind of relationship are you going to have? And what kind of role model are they going to be for your children? Because as long as they're spending an hour or 2 hours or even 15 minutes on there, they are being given a role model that in many cases are not healthy role models. Now, there are some good ones on there that I found. You can use it for good. But you also have to talk to your children. I believe that in a globally connected world where anybody can come in and reach our child, the most important conversation we can have is, who are you and what do you stand for? Sit down and write out your values. Decide what you want to be, and don't let anything get in your way. Because with all of these AI characters and other people giving emotional and factual input, and remember, even under AI, there's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of good information. There's a lot of misinformation. It is incumbent on us as parents to know what our child is doing and help them set their self-image, help them set their value system, and decide what they're going to put in their brain and what they're not going to put in their brain. It's that simple. So I hope that you'll take this. My apologies. I hope you'll take this as a challenge, as a motivation to learn about this. I have spent the last 100 hours going through this, and this is my last podcast, I think, at least up till now. So I want to thank each and every one of you that have sat through this. This is heavy stuff, so be good to yourself tonight, okay? But I do want you to try it out. I'm really asking you to do that so that you know. Me and Kids is here to help keep kids safe from predators. And sometimes we have to do that starting with the parent, not the kid. And that's what we're doing in this series of 3 podcasts. And I know it's heavy, so be good to yourself. But I appreciate each and every one of you that finance our work, that send donations. I appreciate if you have been motivated in this series to be able to subsidize it. We really, really, really appreciate it. Fundraising is very difficult for a nonprofit that does prevention. A lot of people want to subsidize victim centers and like that. I'm glad you do. I wouldn't want to take away from that. But if we're going to prevent our kids from being harmed, it takes every one of us, and it takes funding. So if you want to do that, you can go to millionkids.org and hit that donate button, or use our P.O. box. I myself go down to that P.O. box. I'm very, very grateful for every check we get. Folks, we are at a unique time in history. Our kids will have more outside influence than any generation ever before them. And in many cases, that can be amazingly good. We now have knowledge at our fingertips that we can work on curing cancer and all kinds of things. But they also will be exposed to more predators and more evil thinking than any generation before them. It is up to us to take them by the hand and help them take the high road. I hope it's been helpful. You can write to me at Opal, O-P-A-L, at millionkids.org. Thank you for listening. Put your arms around your family. Let them know how proud you are of them, that you love them, that you believe in them. And I'll see you next time on our P3 Kids podcast, Protect, Prevent podcast. Thanks for joining us. P3 Kids podcast, Protect, Prevent podcast. Thanks for joining us.